Hi. So this is my other podcast, um, on the serial killer couple, Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka in Canada. And I'm much more excited to do this one because I've been studying this case since like June. Um, it's my favorite like serial killer case, if you will. So this one's gonna be a lot more easier to talk about than Charles Manson. Cause don't get me wrong, I like to talk about all serial killers, but these ones are my like I don't want to say favorite because that's weird, but like favorite ones to study, like my favorite case, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'll be talking about a bit of Paul's childhood first. So Paul's childhood was not the worst, but wasn't the best. So he lived with his parents, and he had a sister and a brother. Um, his, I mean, his parents, his dad was just like really like laid back and not the most friendly, just like really monotone and like chill. But actually, when he was 16, he found out that that wasn't even his biological dad. So basically, one time his dad went on this like work trip or something, and then his mom went back to a different city in Canada. I don't recall which one. And she had an affair with a guy, and she got pregnant and had Paul. So, I don't know who his actual dad is. But I will tell you his parents' names. I've gotten a lot of my information about them from this book written in 1991 by Scott Burnside and Alan Cairns, and they were actually, I think, detectives during this when this was going on, and this taking place in the 80s and 90s. Um, so yeah, his parents, his mama's name is Marilyn, and his dad's name is Ken, and his sister's name is Debbie, and his brother's name is Dave. Now, I have not finished this book, but as you can see, I'm almost done. And honestly, everything that you anything that you could ever want to know about them is in this book because like some of the details like you do not need to know. I will say that. Like it's a very detailed book. It does not leave out anything. It's very blunt. It does not sugarcoat anything. I'm sure you can imagine, but yeah. Um so now I'm going to talk a little bit about Karla's childhood. So Karla has an older sister named Lori and a younger sister named Tammy. Um, her parents, I mean, sometimes they're honestly they like fought a lot. Not gonna lie, like they did fight a lot. So, but like her childhood wasn't the worst, but she did get like sick of her parents a lot. Her parents' names are Dorothy and Carol. So, yes. Now, Karla lived in St. Catharines. Yes, she lived at 61 Dundonald Street, St. Catharines, and the house is still there. And Paul, I don't remember where he lived. I think like the Toronto area. All of this where it takes place is all kind of close to each other. Like Toronto, Scarborough, St. Catharines area, Brampton area, you know? So I will say that because that's like important to know for later. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about the victims. So Paul and Karla met one night. Karla was at a veterinary convention with her best friend. What's her name? I think it was Debbie. Not Paul's sister though. Like her friend's name was yeah, it was Debbie Purdy. Um, they were at a veterinary convention in Toronto, and they were at Howard Johnson eating dinner there. And then Paul and his friend, his best friend Van Smyrnis, I'm pretty sure that was the one. Like that's his main best friend. Walked in, and Carla and her friend were kind of on the lookout for guys anyway. So when they saw them, they were like, "Oh my god!" So that same night, they went back to the hotel room, and Paul and Carla, you know, they literally did that within hours of meeting each other, and that's how it all began. I mean, once she met him, it was on. I mean, they ended up getting married, as you can see the cover. Um, so yeah. So basically, when they got married, And Paul had other girlfriends before Karla, obviously, and um, I'm just gonna say he treated her like absolute crap. Absolute crap. You wouldn't believe it. I won't go into all the details because you don't even want to know. But holy shit. Like, at first, he would treat her like a princess. He would call her princess. He would shower her with gifts and stuffed animals and fancy dinner dates and all of that. But later on, he just like started to get abusive. He was extremely abusive towards her. And I don't know, the thing about Karla, she's very fascinating because she, some people think she's a victim. A lot of people don't. And I will say, Paul went. Paul got apprehended February 17th, 1993, I believe. I get a lot of the dates mixed up. I can't even lie. And he's been in jail since. He's in jail right now. He was eligible for parole in 25 years. It's been 25 years. And he gets a parole hearing every 2 years. And actually, he has one this month for February. I don't know if it happened yet. I can't find any articles, but February is almost over, so it might have happened. It's gotta happen soon if it didn't. All I know is that it's this month, and that won't happen again for another 2 years. But here's the thing about Karla. She made a plea bargain. I know I'm kind of skipping ahead, but whatever. She made a plea bargain with her lawyer, and she got out of jail in 2005. Met another man, married him, and had kids. Can you believe she had kids? That's insane to me. Every day I think about how she's literally free right now. That's not to say that people don't stalk her, she just get harassed though. Anyway, so here's what happened. So Karla would do anything, Paul, literally anything. Anything for Paul. Anything. Absolutely anything. She was like his slave. So Paul had like this thing, like I'm trying to keep this appropriate, but this is like serial killers after all, but like he had this thing where he wanted like, and he told this his best friend this, and his best friend was just like, oh, okay. Not think it was weird at all. He wanted like this sex slave farm, like, and he just wanted like young prepubescent schoolgirls, like absolutely disgusting. So, um, one of his victims was actually Karla's younger sister Tammy, who was only 15 at the time when she passed away, unfortunately. Paul wanted to um have sex with Tammy, and Karla was against the idea, but eventually Paul just said that he was gonna do it. So Karla got some like sleeping stuff from the veterinary clinic where she worked. Oh, and by the way, Paul was supposed to be like an accountant, but I'm pretty sure he like failed the accountant test or whatever. So she got like some sleeping stuff for animals at the clinic, and then they used it on Tammy, and also they used halcyon and something else, halothane. I don't know. And they used some stuff to make sure that she fell asleep, and then Paul raped Tammy basically, and Karla videotaped the whole thing. And I won't go into all the details, but yeah. So and Tammy ended up dying because she had to throw up, but she was like unconscious, so she choked on her vomit, so she died. And Paul and Karla did try to do CPR on her and all that, but it was too late, unfortunately. So, yep, Tammy died on Christmas Eve, 1990, which is really unfortunate. And I always wonder nowadays, like when Christmas Eve comes around, what Karla and her family are thinking. And also, her parents, like, they don't even hate her. Like, they still keep in touch, like, all of that. And I know maybe a parent can never hate their child, but that's just, I don't know, it's kind of insane to me. Um, and then some of their other victims, Tina McCarthy was like a 14-year-old girl, I'm pretty sure. She was kind of a runaway, but she was out with her friends one night and she went out past her curfew. So her parents locked her out of the house. Um, so then Paul like was by her house. She's like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "Oh, I was just about to break into your neighbor's house." Like what? Who says that? But Tina was just, or I'm sorry, Leslie was just like, uh-huh. So then Leslie asked him for a cigarette, and then they went to Paul's car. Paul's like, "Oh, come on, just smoke it in the car with me." And she was like, "Okay." She was a little leery, but she didn't. But she wasn't gonna shut the door. But she sat in the car. But by then it was too late. Paul had a knife, and then yeah, and he took her back to his house. And at the time, Paul did move in with Karla for a bit. to live with her parents in St. Catharines, but eventually they did get their own place in Port Dalhousie, Scarborough area. It was actually 57 Bayview Drive, but they tore down the house now. So now there's a different house there, and I'm pretty sure they changed the address as well. But yeah, so he took her back to the house and woke up Karla and said that he had a girl and told her to stay put. And so he blindfolded her so she couldn't see their faces. They like videotaped and pelted some stuff to her. And then at one point he took the blindfold off. He was like, just keep your eyes shut, keep your eyes shut, because he didn't want her to see their faces so she could. So then he let her go, and then she identified them to the police, you know? Even though that's kind of pointless, because like, didn't she see his face even though it was dark out? Like, but so that happened, and then actually she did open her eyes, unfortunately. So Paul got really mad, and then he told Karla, I have to kill her. And that's how the killing started. He's like, I have to kill her. She was like, no. And he was like, yeah, I mean, do you want me to go to jail for 25 years? She was like, so he killed her. He strangled her. And then she revived. And he got really freaked out and strangled her again. So, and this is disturbing, but how he disposed of her body, he put her in the root cellar. And then he cut her body up into 10 pieces and put it in concrete blocks. And then him and Karla loaded them up in the car, even though one of them weighed 200 pounds, and dumped them in Lake Gibson. So yeah, and actually, then him and Karla, well, like they went on their honeymoon in Hawaii. Paul beat her out because he wanted to get a girl and she didn't. I mean, it was their honeymoon. Um, so when they got back from the honeymoon, I think it was Karla's parents like came to the house and they were like, "Oh, did you hear about that girl's body that was found in the lake?" And Karla was like, "What girl in the lake?" And like making it obvious like she knew something. So that was not good. So Paul got mad about that. Honestly, the thing was like he was so abusive. Like if she did like the slightest thing wrong, he would get so mad. Like I don't even know like or in public when they were in public. If she like did one tiny thing, he'd be like, "Oh, that's five. Like 5 hits. You're gonna get 5 hits when we get home to the face or something." Or oh, you're gonna get 10 hits. Like it was insane. Like one time, honestly, like she he used to beat her really hard with a flashlight in the head, and like she got like a concussion, and she got like one of her ribs was cracked at one point. It was just insane. Okay, I know I'm going like really all over the place with this, but I never get an opportunity to talk about this. So. Oh, and by the way, there is a movie based on these. It's called Karla. It's literally just called Karla. It was released in 2006, and I watched it because my favorite actor, Misha Collins, was in it. He plays Paul, and then Laura Prepon from that '70s show plays Karla, and from Orange is the New Black. Um, honestly, when I first watched the movie, I was like, hell nah. But I've watched it multiple times now. It's actually not. It is bad, but like, if you can watch that kind of stuff, it's not like bloody. It's just like really disturbing. It's like weird. It's not accurate either because like some of the all they changed all the names of the victims and everything. I mean, I got that maybe for like respect or privacy, but like just a lot of the things are not entirely accurate or don't make sense. The director for the movie was actually a really big creep too, but he's dead. Anyway, and I'll talk about one more victim. Kristen French, really sweet girl, 15-year-old girl, um, walking back from her Holy Cross Catholic school one day when Karla and Paul pull over by a church, and Carl's like, "Excuse me, can you give us directions, please?" And she was like, "Sure." And then she was like, I'm low-key quoting from the movie now. And then she was like, "We're looking for the Penn Center." And she was like, "Okay, you're gonna." And then she was like, "I'm sorry, I'm so bad with directions. Can you show me on a map?" She was like, "Okay." So then she like got out of the car, put the map on top of the car, I'm pretty sure, and and it wasn't even a map of like the St. Catharines, Toronto area. But before Kristen could even realize that, Paul came around the side of the car and then was like, "Be quiet." And he had like a knife, and she didn't scream anything. She was just like, "Let me go, let me go." But he had a knife, so he took her back to their place. Videotape. He unfortunately raped her, and all of that. So yeah, that happened. Um, and he strangled her, and they put her body in a ditch. And actually, when they were looking for her, they founded this thing called the Green Ribbon Task Force to like look for her. Eventually they found her. It was just really unfortunate. Yeah, it's this whole case is just terrible. And this is not all the girls that Paul has raped and killed. There's others, but these were like the three major ones that are especially talked about in here. But even when they went to Florida, Paul even tried to pull some stuff down there. Like it was crazy. Um, Trademark. Paul didn't really have a trademark. Honestly, like he was dubbed the Scarborough rapist because like Scarborough area, but then he was confusing the cops because he would be like Burlington, St. Catharines, like all over the place. So they like he was like confusing them because he kept on moving locations. He was trying to outsmart them, and he always thought that he was invincible. He had this huge ego. He was like, "I'm never gonna get caught. I'm never gonna get caught." He never thought that he was gonna get caught. And he was always used to getting his way. He kind of had like that Sigma attitude. Like actually, his favorite book, like this book, he treated it like his Bible, American Psycho. I've seen the movie. I have the book actually. He treated that book like his Bible. Like I don't know, maybe he thought he was Patrick Bateman or something, but so how Paul and Karla were caught. So actually, Karla actually ran away from Paul at one point. Like she got away from him because she was just tired of the abuse and it was just insane. And actually, she left on the night when Paul beat her with a flashlight. She had two black eyes and it was like really, really, really bad beating. And that's when she left him. And she told her lawyer some stuff. She was like, "If I tell you stuff about Paul, can you like give me immunity?" And so yeah, it was just like a whole thing. So then they issued like a wiretap on Paul's phone, and they were like watching him and all that. And then at one point they just like busted in his house and they got him. Um, that was like February 17th, 1993, I think. Um, so he went to jail and all that. And now how Karla was caught, like they just like they always figured that she was like an accomplice that didn't want to do it like force, but she victimized herself a lot. Like I kind of feel like she definitely had a more part in it than she seemed. Like she she claims that she couldn't like stop Paul or do anything about it, and she never really thought about leaving him. Like it's just really like confusing, but that's just how she was caught. Cause like they eventually figured out that she was had some part in it too. Um, and I also show the pictures in here. There's like 8 pictures as part of it. I'll show them at the end. Their punishment, like I said, Paul is still in jail right this second. I mean, there's no death sentence in Canada. He's like widely hated though. Fun fact though, he did write a book while he's in jail right now. It's called A Mad World Order. But it was available on Amazon, but then they removed it because people were mad. Like, why do you have a serial killer's book on there? He doesn't get any funds from it. But I mean, when you're in jail, you don't really have anything else to do but write, I guess. But some people did read it and they say it was like bad, and I bet that the grammar was not that good. Like, he wasn't like smart like that, not really. So, um, but yeah, Karla's free. And actually, this is insane. She volunteered at a school. I don't even know what school would hire her, but whatever. Number of deaths, multiple, three major victims. I don't know how many, I mean, I think that Paul admitted to raping like 14 women. I don't even know. Connection to sociological concepts. How is this serial killer an example of deviance? So, deviant in every way, like his attitude, his personality, the way he treats women, like, and Karla, she's just deviant because, like, she did everything that Paul wanted. She never, like, she was completely submissive. She was, like, his slave, I swear, like, completely submissive. And actually, in their wedding vows, Paul told the priest to say, like, love, honor, obey. Those were the rules. And she had like this list. It was like this really weird list. When they first started dating, it was like, it said, never let anyone know that our relationship is anything but perfect. Always smile when you're with Paul. Be a perfect girlfriend for Paul. Remember you're stupid. Remember you're fat. Remember you're ugly. So, that's unfortunate. And he would always call her that stuff anyway. It's just insane to me, like, because she could never do anything right in his eyes. Like, oh, and he would cheat on her. And he would go to clubs with his best friend, and then his best friend would be like, "Yo, what are you doing? You have a wife." And he was just like, "Okay, she's not here." Like he was truly like absolute garbage. I don't even think that he loved her. But then when she left him, he was recording all this like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself and all of that. You know, like, I'm gonna go see Tammy. It's so hard without you. If you come back, I'd love you with all my heart. And all of that. I'm like, girl. So yeah, deviant in every way possible. States, countries, and places evolved. Mostly Canada, Toronto, Scarborough, St. Catharines area, but they did go to Florida a few times, and they went to Hawaii for their honeymoon. And he went to Florida for his bachelor party. I mean, I don't know. He had money. Um, Psychological or emotional impact for victim or victim's family. Kristen's parents and Leslie's parents, I believe, are still all around, and obviously that was probably devastating for them. They were at the trial, and all of these videotapes that Paul made, they weren't like shown in trial, but the audio tapes were played. But I think actually some of it might have been shown, but the tapes were destroyed. So yeah, that's pretty much it for him. I've made this podcast long enough, but I'll quickly show the pictures. Okay, so this is Paul Bernardo's childhood home, and it's actually for sale right now for $1 million. It doesn't look that much different from that picture. It says Paul Bernardo's childhood home in the affluent Guildwood subdivision near Lake Ontario. This was his best friend and his best man at his wedding, Van Smyrnis. I found his Facebook actually. He was also friends with his brother Steven Smyrnis, but like something happened with them, like about a girl, and their friendship just wasn't really the same after that. This is Paul right there, and then Van's brother Steve in the Boy Scouts thing. And then this was when Paul was in the newspaper. This one, the Scarborough rapist. And then he actually like everyone was like, "Oh, that looks like Paul. That looks like Paul." And then like, he went to the police, and he was like so calm about it. He was like cool as a cucumber. Like he gladly gave up hair samples, spit, blood, all of that. But the thing is, like back then, like the DNA stuff was just getting started. So it took them like 2 years to test his when it could have been sooner and more rapes could have been prevented, you know? And then this was when they put a billboard out for "Have you seen his car?" But that's literally the wrong one. It was like some Camaro or something, and he drove a tan Nissan 240SX. So this was him, Paul, at Price Waterhouse at a Christmas party in 1987. This is Leslie Mahaffey. This is a bad picture. I can't really see it right there. And her parents. And then this is Kristen French. This is Kristen's dad, like being comforted by other family members. This is when they found Kristen in the ditch, and that's like the detective like lifting up her hand. This was Paul. He's somewhere in there. Hold up. He's like right there. And then his best friend Van is somewhere. And that was at their bachelor party in Florida, I believe. I don't know if it was the bachelor party, but it was like something in Florida in 1989. Oh yeah. So this is Paul and Karla, and also I forgot to mention they had these other best friends, Alex and Kathy. Um, this is when Alex and Karla were dancing together at the wedding. Karla's wedding reception. Karla's wedding reception at June 29th, 1991, Niagara on the Lake, and he proposed to her at Niagara Falls. This was the house. If you look it up on Google Maps, it's gone. Got demolished. That was Tammy Homolka. And that's her gravestone. And this picture is going to be Paul and Karla at their friend's apartment in New York. And they were always back and forth to the United States. Actually, Paul and his best friend Van would smuggle cigarettes into the United States to make money. And then I think that's Kristen's dad. Or no. That's like the detective. And then this is when Paul beat Karla really bad. She had 2 black eyes. Sadly. Actually, not sadly. And then this was Karla at court. And also the whole time during her court trial, she had like a monotone voice the whole time and showed no emotion. It was insane. So this is her sister Lori and their parents, and she's like crying or whatever. And then this is Paul getting out of like the jail truck. I don't even know. And then these are the detectives that wrote the book. The authors, also detectives. So yeah, that was everything about them. I will wrap this up now because this podcast is almost half an hour long. I don't blame you if you didn't watch the whole thing. But I hope you enjoyed learning about them.